So just to give an overview about where we are here with CODESYS, and especially for the application-based licensing. As Chris was mentioning, we see a big trend in the automation industry now to go hardware independent and even virtualize PLCs and control systems using IT features in the OT world, and also that is one of those things that have been triggering us to take a look at our current licensing model or our previous licensing model and see, okay, what do we need for the future in order to provide a portfolio of CODESYS runtime licenses that are attractive for customers needing the market needs and are scalable for different kinds of use cases and applications. So in here we go. So in general, this is just a quick overview about what CODESYS is for everyone who is not that familiar with all the details. Sorry, put back here. So CODESYS has two main parts. One is the development system, the programming environment for programming your control applications, visualization screens. Then there is, of course, the controller. Now, the controller can be any piece of hardware that has a processor on it. It could be one of our OEM branded versions of CODESYS from many of our vendors that sell CODESYS as part of, or CODESYS runtimes as part of their hardware platforms. We also have generic hardware platforms that we offer in our CODESYS store, and that allows to, for example, take an industrial PC and turn it into a pretty powerful industrial PLC. Other platforms are available in our store as well. One of the really popular ones, for example, is Raspberry Pi-based controllers. So standard hardware platforms that can be used for multiple tasks, and in a lot of cases, the PLC is not just the main task that's running on that controller or on that piece of hardware, but it's embedded in a bigger application, doing some more advanced control algorithms, from analyzing data to data loggers to cloud connectivity or even AI applications. So in those scenarios, CODESYS is just a part of what's running on the controller, and so our historic model of basing our runtime license on the performance measures of the target platform doesn't really apply here anymore, because a lot of customers were coming to us and saying, okay, I got a small application that I would like to run in addition to all the other things we have running on our industrial PC, and we just need a CODESYS license for just a few logic elements and a couple of IOs. So with our historic model, that was a challenge because we had very low-priced licenses for low-priced target platforms and higher priced runtimes, more fully featured runtimes for powerful platforms. Now, with the change of the market and the development of industrial automation in general, CODESYS had to develop a new concept. And instead of tying our licenses to the performance of a hardware platform, we're now looking at making a license that is, well, hardware independent, so it can be used on a Raspberry Pi or on industrial PC with the same features. So you can, as a software developer, develop your software, and you don't have to worry about, is that going to be running on a Raspberry Pi later on or an industrial PC. It's going to be the same license, and the license can be deployed on the different devices. So these are some of the trends that we've been seeing here. New technologies that are emerging in the automation technology. One of them is more powerful hardware. As we've been seeing that for many years now, and not just in the industrial automation, but in the technology in general. Processors are getting less expensive and more powerful. And that basically means that an industrial controller that was only doing a handful of logics many years ago, all of a sudden you have the capacity and power to do a lot more than just running a couple of logic circuits and do a couple of visualization screens. So CODESYS actually allows you to do way more than just industrial control. It's expandable. You can integrate it into add-ons you build for specific hardware platforms. And in that whole scenario, getting more and more, the core components of CODESYS getting more and more independent of the actual target system. The second trend, and that's what Chris was talking about, virtualization and container architectures. Docker is one of the buzzwords here. We see more and more of our customers actually have in the past already used CODESYS runtimes for, especially for PCs, Linux PCs. And instead of running those directly on the hardware, they instantiated a virtual machine, installed CODESYS in it, the CODESYS runtime, and then ran the CODESYS runtime in that virtualized environment. That has a lot of benefits for maintaining the software and the target system in general. It had some challenges for us, especially when it comes to licensing, because the main license that CODESYS was offering until now was pretty much tied to a specific hardware. So the virtualization and container architectures also allow a lot of scalable deployments, meaning scalable in the ways of how resources are allocated to do processing, and also how many of those PLCs you want to spin up on one specific machine. One of the other driving factors for us to think about device-independent licensing was the supply shortage in recent years. And that started a lot of trends here with customers to look at second sources for hardware platforms. So in order to accommodate that, we needed to get away from the traditional model of licensing to a specific hardware platform and do it in a more independent way. And now the new classification for the licenses is based on the application itself and the features used by the application, not the device hardware or the specifics of the communication channels. So historically, we have PC-based applications, Linux, Windows, Control RTE, controller-based licenses, ARM Linux, PFC 100, PLC Next, IoT 2000, for an example. Then we had add-ons, target visualization, web visualization that were sometimes built in those runtimes in the base licenses, sometimes not. Sometimes they needed to be purchased as an add-on. The same with fieldbus systems. A lot of those fieldbus systems were already integrated into the standard Windows or Linux runtimes. But there were quite a few exceptions where one fieldbus was in there, but not the other. And the same thing with OPC UA. So this has been a portfolio that we at CODESYS have been growing for many years. And because it's been growing for all those years, we did some developments and lost some of the consistency between those different licenses. So with the new view on licensing as what does the application need instead of what does the hardware provide, we can now actually also smooth out some of those inconsistencies that we had and provide a more consistent model of licensing, more transparent, more, I would say, more fair to our customers. So how does this work? The license price scales with the size of the application and the features used by the application. So essentially, we have still the same CODESYS development system. You still have a hardware that you want to run it on, a controller, industrial PC, or such. And then you install the software PLC on it and get the license for it. So nothing really changed there, except that now the license is really independent of what hardware platform you're running it on. And instead, the license is then classified by individual performance classes, different categories, and based on features like how many I/O channels is the application using, visualization, SoftMotion, and we'll go over some of the details in a couple of slides here. In order to facilitate that, we implemented a new tab in the device view of the CODESYS Development System. And that device tab for license metrics will also show, or does show now, what kind of features are used by an application and how many I/O channels are used, how many fieldbus instances, and so on. So with this, we provide now a new licensing model for the same runtimes that we've been providing before. So from a technical point for automation equipment, nothing is changing except that the licenses are scaled different and calculated different. So the key points for the new metrics is the number of input and output channels, number of fieldbus instances, code size, number of visualization variables, OPC UA tags, and motion axis and groups. So when we look over that, and I just took a screenshot here from page in our web store. So these are the basic core licenses that we're offering now for all CODESYS runtimes in the store. And again, this applies to all CODESYS devices that are sold through the CODESYS store, for general purpose hardware platforms. This does not apply as of today for OEM platforms, but we actually encourage our OEM customers to take advantage of this model and see if they can benefit a better model for selling their hardware platforms and controllers to the public using and especially for system integrators using this model and have a better scalable way of licensing CODESYS. So it's broken down into 3 basic classes. We have a basic class, control basic, then we have a control standard, and the performance group. The basics are what we used to call small applications, usually not a lot of direct IOs, IO channels, small code size, just a few function blocks, some logic elements to control something external, and that is something that is usually then more an add-on to some other piece of software that's running on that same system. Just adding CODESYS capabilities to additional software packages. Then we have that scales up, as you can see here, the main thing where you can see the IO channels, 64 IO channels for the basic. Then we're going up the standard starting with 512, and then it goes up to 8,000 here. And we are still in the process of offering larger scale licenses on request. So the same thing here, all those licenses, as you can see, include some basic packages like the Virtualization S and the OPC UA S. That basically means that with every CODESYS core license package, you immediately get web visualization and target visualization, as well as OPC UA built in that runtime at no extra cost. Those licenses are, let me just skip that here for a couple seconds here. So when you look at the available add-ons to those licenses, then you'll see that the Virtualization S that I was just talking about is limited to 128 tags for the visualization. And that means you can build a couple of pretty nice HMI screens with a few 128 variables to do a local machine control or a remote machine control for that visualization. And then it scales up to the more powerful models where we then add up. Well, first of all, the basic model does not have any fieldbus. Then we add on serial fieldbus protocols, simple ones like Modbus. And then starting with the standard, we add in Ethernet IP, Profinet, EtherCAT as fieldbus instances. This is a quick overview how this looks like price-wise. And if you're familiar with the standard CODESYS pricing from before, you can see that most of those basic licenses are a lot less expensive than CODESYS licenses used to be in the store. And that's because now you can actually don't have to, you can actually get the features that you need for your application. So it scales up, and of course, when you look at the high-end application, then with all the add-ons, you end up pretty much at the same high-end price for licenses as before with the standard CODESYS Control Win or Control Linux SL plus all the add-ins. But you have a much better way of scaling it, especially for applications that do not need this full scale of functions. So what we've seen here is, for example, that with visualization tags or with OPC UA tags, a lot of applications can just work with the basic S or basic M model. And even if you add in the visualization M here, you're still below $100 for a full application that is capable of controlling some pretty powerful control systems with SmartBus and can open. So we have those 8 basic licenses, and then they come with different add-ons and extensions. And those extensions are based on what other features you need, how many you can add more tags to the visualization, you can add more tags to OPC UA data you want to expose, and you can also add additional features like SoftMotion for drive controls or the SoftMotion robotics package that allows to synchronize then those axes in axis groups and build robotic or CNC applications. So when you look at the prices here, these are the SoftMotion and SoftMotion axis group applications. And as you can see, for SoftMotion, we start with 4 axis, 8, 16, up to 64 right now. And again, if you, for some reason, for a large scale application, need more than 64 axis, then please contact us and we'll get you a custom license for this kind of application. And the same thing with the access groups. And these, if you build your application, all those, how many access you're using, how many groups is built into the device tab with a license metrics. So we started in August with introducing those new licenses in the store. So if you've been seeing what's in the store so far, you will see, you will see that those licenses are now prominent in our store. I can maybe show that with you live of the store here. So for anyone who hasn't been looking at the CODESYS store for a while, you will see right on the front screen the application-based software licenses. And here at us.store.codesys.com, right on the main page, with those 8 basic licenses listed out with their pricing. And then you'll see also a link here for more information. And that is a page that we created to explain what those application-based licenses are and how it works, including a short video to explain what we're doing and what it is all about. And there's some good information in there, including FAQs that you can take a look at if you have any questions. And in general, if you have questions about those application-based model licenses, don't hesitate to ask us. Right now, you can put your questions in the Q&A window here for this webinar. And we can go through those questions either live here later on, or we can address those individually. And you can always email us at us-sales@codesys.com if you have any pricing related, license related questions. So yeah, how does it look like? Let me just go back here. We, for example, if you're looking at, yeah, let's take the standard S. And you'll see there's, yeah, you still have a download link. Unfortunately, now because of the way our store is working internally, in order to actually download the software, you have to log in. And I'll just log in here. And here we go. So once you're logged in, you actually see all the different add-ons and options. And if you click on download, you will also see that all the licenses that are applicable for the application-based licenses. So what you see here is a Control Win, Control Linux, Linux ARM, Raspberry Pi, BeagleBone, eMPC, IoT 2000, PFC 100, 200, PLC Next, and Zhivago touch panels are supported right now. We are also working on the Control RTE, and this is going to be added to this license model within the next few weeks. So back to the Control Standard S. And the product description here, you see what features are included in the Standard S and how that is actually different from the next lower or higher license. So all the different features, you can get some of the case studies about a couple of examples, how those licenses apply to different application scenarios. And anyway, this is a good first source of information to take a look at what it is you need for your application. I've been talking with many customers over the last few weeks since we rolled this out in the US. And we see a lot of questions in regards to what are those licenses really doing? What license do I need for my specific application? And what are actually my advantages for me as a customer? And the main advantage for customers buying CODESYS store licenses is that small applications are now a lot more economical than they used to be, even if they run on powerful hardware platforms. Meaning, for example, you're running a small application on an industrial PC that was used to be $500 to $700 for Control Win SL or Control Linux SL. Now you can actually scale that to your application all the way down to $35 if you have a very small application. This also means You can easily upgrade the licenses. If you're growing your application, you have a small application on a controller running that is licensed, and then you decide you add in additional control features, and all of a sudden you have 10 more HMI screens, and you need an add-on license for or an extension license for more tags. Then you can get that in our store. And if you're upgrading from one license to another license, CODESYS, we will only charge you for the difference in price for from between the original license that you have on the machine to the new one you want to upgrade to. So we're trying to make it as easy and cost efficient as possible to upgrade licenses as needed. So what's the differences? Maybe a quick back here. We think that's way too fast here. There we go. So the main thing is really that the license price now depends on the software that is developed using CODESYS and running as a control application, and not on the performance of the target platform. So with the same license, you can license your application for a Raspberry Pi or for an industrial PC, and the license cost is going to be the same. As you can see, no new runtime licenses are needed. Of course, the new license model is only available with the latest CODESYS runtimes we just released, and moving forward with everything that's coming out new. We are not discontinuing the old licenses for now. We will phase it out until by the end of the year in our store, but we will still make them available on request for existing applications that may need those licenses. Quickly through a couple of examples. The main question we've been getting from customers is really, how do I find the correct license for what it is I'm doing? So in order to help with that, there's a couple of things to keep in mind and get it in the right category. One is, what fieldbus are you using? Any fieldbus? Which one and how many instances are you using? And then you can already narrow it down quite a bit of what license you need. How many I/O channels? That's another good marker. Are you implementing a lot of custom logic and function, meaning what kind of code size are we expecting here? Are you need real-time high-performance applications for robotics applications? And then with those questions, you can already go through the list. And if I go back to our screen here, second here, and go to soft PLC. This is a little slow here on my machine. There we go. Then it gives you an overview about the different licenses and the applications and what is required here, a different way of an overview. And so if you follow some of those things that are highlighted here, you already get a good view on what it is you need, and especially when it comes to the field buses, that's always a good first marker. Then yeah, you get usually a good idea about how many I/O channels you'll need for a specific application. Is it going to be 100 or 1,000 or anything in between? And then you can see, okay, is there any additional features that I need? For example, if you need the CODESYS multi-core functions, those start with the performance M model. This is a quick diagram that actually I didn't invent, but Lars Ott, one of our sales engineers here, he took a look at this new license model and said, okay, this is all nice, and I totally understand how it works, but how do we explain this to the customer? And so he came up with this flow diagram for the basics, just to figure out for most of our customers who don't really have an application on hand that they can just take a look at, what to do an estimate about what kind of license you will need. It basically starts with EtherCAT, Ethernet IP, or Profinet, and if you need those, then you're automatically in one of the at least standard models, then followed by other questions like, do you need I/O points, how many tags, I/O channels you need, and yeah, with those few steps, you can already determine with pretty good accuracy what it is you need. And then in the second step, you will then go through another set of questions, like how many visualization variables do I need? Do I even have a visualization? OPC UA objects, and all those add-on licenses that will be added as needed. So back to the development system. So once you get those questions answered and you actually have an idea, then if you really want to know for sure, the best way to find out is to really look at the license metrics screen in the CODESYS Development System. It's part of the device view. And we introduced that with Service Pack 18, this tab, and expanded it with Service Pack 19. So now with Service Pack 19, you will see all those different metrics that you need for that the application generates in order to see what license will need it. So for this particular project here, we have 27 kilobytes of code. What we're counting here is actually the user code, not the whole code that's generated by CODESYS, because you're using a lot of libraries, generated code by the development system. So the only thing that counts here is really custom code that you're developing. Then we can see here in this case, there's no OPC UA tags used, but we use a visualization with 1288 variables. So you will need a license that allows at least those 2048 variables in order to fit those in. And by the way, it's always a good idea to compile the project completely, make sure that you actually generate the code before looking at those matrix, just to make sure that what you see on the screen is really up to date for what it is you have in your application. Okay, I also have a couple of examples here, but I just to save some time, I'll just skip through those, and if you have any questions, those are pretty much the same examples that you see on our website. Trying to figure out what kind of license you need for what application. And instead, I'd rather point out some of the frequently asked questions, which may actually answer some of the questions that we see here in the Q&A. We'll just go quickly through those. So one of the questions that we're getting, is I have an application right now that is larger than the biggest license that we are offering. For example, you have more than 4 fieldbus nodes, which is a very rare case, but it can happen for large applications. Contact us and we'll do a custom solution for you on those applications. For the time being, we also still offer the old licenses without the limitations. But of course, or I shouldn't say without those limitations, but the old licenses have other pros and cons depending on what it is you're doing. So support tickets are not included in those licenses. We offer them now completely separate for all those licenses in our store. As usual, we do help you with licensing questions, with installation questions, as no charge. Just email us at us-sales@codesys.com, and we'll get you in touch with our support team. We can also if you have detailed questions that are more application specific, then please feel free to buy a support ticket in our system and submit that ticket, and we'll get to it as soon as possible and give you a good answer and work with you on a solution. So will the existing platform-based licenses still be available? So right now, we still have them in our store. You can still buy them. Starting next year, those old licenses will no longer be available in our store. They will still be available for customers who've been purchasing it. Contact us and we'll make them available to you if needed. We know that there's sometimes licenses are specified for as part of a deliverable that our customers offer to their customers, and we can make those still available after next year on a manual purchase basis, just not through the store. In general, we encourage all our customers to take the next few months and migrate to the new application-based model, as it gives you as a customer, in my eyes, the best way to have a transparent licensing that is independent of the hardware, and also is open for the future, and will offer additional licensing methods, for example, for virtualized PLCs, where you can't have a dongle plugged in, or where you can't tie the license to a specific piece of hardware. Yeah, how do I get updates? As usual, you can just download updates for the runtimes through the CODESYS installer or the CODESYS store and install them as usual. There's no changes there. The new controllers or the new licenses support both target and web visualization. So it's not an extra charge anymore for target visualization as we had in, for example, for the Control Win before. But of course, you got to take a look at what does this platform actually support. For example, if you're running this on an embedded ARM device, ARM Linux device, Edge Gateway, then you probably won't have target visualization supported by your Linux system. Then what fieldbus configurations? So right now, part of this model are all our, we say our core automation fieldbus systems, which is essentially Profinet, Ethernet IP, especially here in the US, and EtherCAT, Modbus TCP and RTU as well, and then CAN and CAN Open. We have still other additional fieldbuses available to be added in our store as usual. So for example, if you're using BACnet, you can, as before, buy in a separate BACnet license in our store for to run BACnet in your controllers. How does the integration of dynamic C code work? So we also, last year, we introduced the CODESYS extension SDK that allows to dynamically expand the CODESYS runtime with C code functions and libraries. And there's a whole chapter about this in our online help. So if you're interested in that, take a closer look. And the dynamic C code is not available in all licenses. It needs one of the standard licenses as minimum to support this. Another question that we got asked is what does a data source manager do? And that is pretty cool feature that we integrated many years ago, and it's available for a long time now, where you can connect variables in your local application to some remote application in other PLCs, either through a CODESYS native protocol as an alternative to using network variables, or you can use OPC UA to be more interchangeable with other third-party controllers or devices. It's a very easy way to configure this and set up an OPC UA or a communication relationship to other PLCs or devices. What real-time options are available? So right now, right now the control RTE is still not available. We'll come out with that in shortly. And in general, CODESYS real-time options are the same as they were before. You can get a control RTE that is with hard real-time capabilities in microseconds, or you can run CODESYS on a Linux system, and then it really depends on how you optimize your Linux systems for real-time operation, how accurate that gets, and how much jitter you will have in your system. And there's a couple of guidelines that we have in our online help to help you assess your Linux system, and we can also help you if you have specific questions.